gonna start like I always start with a couple of keys and things to set up in terms of options because they are very essential. Starting out with the dodge. If you haven't done this yet, then everybody should. But if you haven't, if you double dodge, if you dodge, take away the double tap for dodging. If you haven't yet, it's an absolute must. It's slow, it bugs, and to do it, you have to stop in one place so you can dodge. It's suicide. Set up a key. Set up a key that is comfortable to use. Set up a key that you will learn to use easily, and use that for dodge. Because dodge is your most powerful sustained skill there is in the game. It can negate damage from all sources, and it's pretty much there's only a couple of things in the game that can sort of interrupt it or whatnot. So that is one. The second one, strive left and strive right. Get rid of the turn left and turn right keys. You don't need them. You don't need them in the game at all. Not in PvP, not in raids, nowhere. They're useless keys. They turn you around slowly and make you an easy target. So just replace them with your strive left and strive right. You're facing the enemy that's in front of you always when you're strafing left and right. So any hit that you take while strafing, the game considers that you're taking it from the front, which is different than from the flank or behind, where one myriad of positive effects for the enemy and negative effects for you can activate. So now I want to talk a little bit about synergies between professions in subgroups, which is very important because this is where in WVW the strength of a squad comes from. None of the builds individually of whatever builds we're using for our sub squads are the best build individually for you. The Scourge build that you're running is not the best Scourge build individually for you. The Firebrand builds we're running, they're not the best fire builds individually for us. There's other skills that can be put in which will make you individually as a much stronger player in all cases. However, they are sort of balanced so that it can be the best build for the subgroup. So you're sacrificing individual utility for group utility, whether that be in terms of boons, whether that will be in terms of cleanses, healing, stun breaking, whatnot. Now, in terms of DPS players, your primary role is to deliver DPS. However, you're also delivering utility. That means usually some kind of interrupts, some kind of CCs, things that will help other DPS players in the subgroup also deliver their damage. So our builds generally in WVW, when we're talking about group and Zerg builds, are not built to maximize your own output, to maximize your own ability. They're there to maximize the group as a whole. For that reason, there's things that are important. There's certain things that we need to do together to get the most use of it. For example, I've given this example many times, but I'll give it again. For example, Firebrand and Revenants. Now, the Revenants have the brutality trait, which means that every hit that they deliver to the enemy that is not blocked will strip one stack of stability every second from each enemy hit. That is extremely powerful if you can do it consistently, because as we know, there's a limited amount of stability that can be applied. So for that to happen, however, the Revenant needs to have quickness when they're using their DPS skills. This is where come in Firebrands and come in Scrappers as the main sources of quickness, squad quickness. So our builds are set up for the Firebrands to generate quickness essentially at 100% uptime, unless that quickness is being, removed. So unless it's being stripped, our sub squad should have 100% uptime on quickness, because we have the two traits, which is Liberator's Vow and Stalwart Speed. Now both of them proc every 7 seconds, but both of them can give up to 4 seconds of quickness because our Firebrands are set up to have 100% boon duration. So these two things mean that unless quickness is getting stripped, we have 100% uptime on quickness. However, we're not going to be constantly popping skills out of combat just to keep up quickness. That makes no sense. Also, the Mantra of Solace, its recharge time is 12 seconds, and we need to be popping it every 8 seconds to keep 100% uptime on quickness. Still, the 5 rank can generate 100% in combat for probably 30 to 40 seconds.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
They're talking to your map. Maybe you should hide your tag because they're expecting help at Bait it's under attack. So maybe you should hide your tag since you're only teaching.
Yeah,
Okay.
Because Bay is under heavy attack.
Tell them we're training, and we'll go help.
Yeah, just hide the tag. That way they won't see that you're here.
Okay. All right. 40. Yeah, we don't have the numbers to help against 40. Who is it? Do we know who it is?
No, but Gads is here too. There's quite a bit of us here,
Okay.
but we,
All right.
A little more would help.
All right. So after those 30, 40 seconds, there's also the NGs that will generate more quickness. So essentially, the only time we will not have quickness is when we're out of combat or when it gets stripped. When we're going into combat, however, because we're saving our skills for when we're in combat, it's important for our Firebrands to use that Mantra of Solace when we're approaching for a range spike, for example. You use one charge. That way, the Revenants have quickness when they're delivering their range spike, and they're stripping stability with their hits on top of everything else. When we're going into melee combat, it's very important as well because they can poke their vengeful hammers, and every single time it spins, it's taking away stability. And so at that situation, if you're giving them quickness, then they're constantly taking away the stability of the enemy when we're on top of them. Very, very, very powerful, because then any CC will ground them into place, we can move through, and so on. One of the things that I personally was not fully aware of, and now I am, is for super speed, for example. So super speed does not function to its full potential when we're out of combat. So when we're out of combat, super speed only enhances speed to the same level as swiftness. So this is something that I will personally adjust in terms of when calling super speed, so that we have it in combat. And that means that we want super speed applied when we actually are entering combat. Super speed is an effect, it's not a boon, so it cannot be stripped, which is very important to know. and you can use it during combat as well to speed up. For example, if we're going through a bubble, super speed is not going to be removed, and it will speed up people moving through the bubble even if they don't dodge. So these are important things to know and to keep in mind in terms of synergies. For example, on the Scrapper, why it is very important to be as much as possible in your med kit and using med kit 1 when not needed to use other skills or everything else is on cooldown. The reason is that through traits, reconstruction and closure is the trait. It grants protection to allies when you use a heal skill. So every time you pop that med kit 1, you're applying also protection to everybody in your sub squad.
Correction there. It doesn't apply to the medkit skills. It's on the tool belt for the medkit.
It's only the tool belt?
Yeah.
Okay. It says
Yeah,
heal skill.
because
so
you're
the med kit 1 doesn't count as a heal skill?
Yeah.
No,
According to the
because-
wiki, that one and the gyro are on the tool belt skill and not the utility skill.
Okay.
Well, because your personal heal on medkit is not actually medkit itself, but it is your tool belt F1. So when it says on heal skill, that means your personal heal skill, which is F1 with a medkit.
So bandage rate is what would be
Yeah, band itself.
that's the only one.
That's the only
Yep.
heal you have on medkit. Your personal heal, which applies super speed, gives you the protection if you take the trait.
Okay. Well, they do need to fix their shit because
Yeah, NG is just a mess of traits.
Yep, so I'm dependent upon my firebrand buddy to keep me alive.
right. Okay. Well, I was gonna say there's also the secondary synergy that goes on with that, which is anti-corrosion plating, where every time you grant protection, you also cleanse conditions. So you pop 1, it grants the second, and then because you grant the second, it does the third as well, which is a very strong synergy. But if it only does it with 1 skill, then it's not as useful. Still, it demonstrates how different things in terms of synergies can be stacked one on top of the other, and even though each in itself might not be that much of a thing, when you get all of them stacked up in a row, it has an outsized effect. There's all kinds of synergies like that. The Fury is one, where Fury, it gives the extra 20% crit chance. This is where our Revenants become very important because they are the main source of Fury. If you stay on your Revenant and you should be out of combat, you should be constantly in your dragon stance, and you should have your Facet of Darkness and Facet of Nature activated at all times, because it does 2 things. 1, the Facet of Darkness will give you Fury constantly. Every 3 seconds, it will pump out 3 seconds of Fury. And that is at 0% boon duration. You're going to be above 0% your boon duration, so you're going to be giving a little bit more than 3 seconds. In any case, that is constant uptime on Fury. So when going into combat, every DPS player that has a Revenant in their sub squad will be at 100% crit chance. And that is the key, because 100% crit chance increases your damage more than anything else in the game can. It will basically triple your damage. So this is this is how the synergy works. After you're switching, in Revenant, you're switching legends. The act of switching will apply more fury, so there will be fury for a while after that. Then you can generate even more fury with your forced engagement skill, which will apply another 8 seconds, and so on. And this keeps that crit chance at maximum, and that's how you maximize the damage from every single DPS player. Now, this means that you have to get pretty good at at managing your energy levels. That is the key for Revenants, so that you can use those skills at the right moment. Now, the other thing is when your facet is activated, when you're in Dragon Stance, you're giving additional duration to all boons that are applied to allies. That's plus 2 seconds. While that's not that much in itself, it does proc the time. So it increases the time, and things that are a little bit on the border get extended a little. It means that between cooldowns from skills, it lowers the threshold at which things can be kept the whole time. When you switch, then you switch into Dwarf. That gives damage reduction, and that's a damage reduction that it's on top of all the other damage reductions. And then obviously you have the Elite Rise of the Great Dwarf. But even without it, as a Revenant, you have access to a lot of damage reduction, because once you activate your Dwarf, you have, obviously you need roads, but after that, as you have energy, you have forced engagement and you have vengeful hammers. Both of them will lower your damage. Forced engagement does it in a different way. Now, it taunts foes, and anybody that's taunted will do less damage to you, but they're only going to be hitting you to begin with. So this is an important one, and to keep in mind. Vengeful Hammers lowers damage another 20%. So you're getting damage reduction from Facet of Nature, you're getting it from Vengeful Hammers, you're getting it from protection, and you're getting it from your food, and if needed, you can also get it from your Rite of the Great Dwarf. In general, the Revenant, even though you're glassy, because of all of the damage reductions, you're probably one of the classes that takes the least damage pressure in melee if you're using your skills correctly. And this is all because of the synergies between different things. Now, when you're using the skills, you're looking to use them in a way that benefit the whole squad the most. Obviously, you need to stay alive, so if you're in a bind, you're using skills to keep yourself alive. But you're looking to use them in a time frame in which it transfers all of that synergy to everybody around you as well. So, for example, the Facet of Nature, you're looking not to, you're looking to have it activated, but not consume it, because that damage reduction is going to everybody else as well. If you consume it, you're going to grant stability, but you're going to lose the damage reduction. Now, this is what we were talking about earlier with Exceed. Why not have which one was it? Forceful Persistence instead of Draconic Echo. That is one of the reasons why, because in a situation where you do need the extra stab, you can pop it, and for the next 6 seconds, you're still gonna have the damage reduction, 6 to 8, depending when the actual proccing happens in relation to when you activate the skill, but at least 6 seconds, while you still give the stab, and that gives the ability to reposition, and then you will have about 12 to 14 seconds in which the skill is going to come back, and you're not going to have that extra damage reduction. But it gives you that 6-second to 8-second window to use a skill for additional stability when it's really needed. Additionally, if you're about to switch to dwarf from dragon, you can consume some of your facets while you're still in dragon, and you have the energy for it. For example, you can consume the Facet of Light. That one is a little bit more on a situation where if you're going into a big bomb, let's say we're making our first mega push, you have enough energy left over before you're gonna switch over. You can consume, you can actually, that one, I think you don't actually need energy for that one, do you? Okay, you actually don't need energy to consume the facets. My bad on that one. So you can consume the Facet of Light, and what will happen is on our engagement, you're actually going to transform any damage you take into healing for 3 seconds. On top of that, you will be applying for 6 seconds. You will be applying regen to everybody in your sub squad. Now it does have a cooldown, so there's that. The second one that is probably more useful, because you're not gonna ever be sort of activating it as a facet and keeping it activated as a facet, is the Facet of Chaos. So right before we're engaging, when we're gonna be switching into dwarf for roads and whatnot, you can double tap it and consume it, and you're gonna give extra fury, and you're gonna give super speed to the squad. Then you're moving into dwarf, and you still have all of those passives going. So you're generating at this point, you've double tapped and clicked them, and you're generating regen. You've given Jesus. You've given super speed, and you've given fury, additional fury, and you're generating protection every 2 seconds, every 3 seconds for 2 seconds. Now with a little bit more boon duration, it could probably go up to 3 seconds. So this is a lot of stuff that you can do if you can manage your energy well when you're switching over. Now, they all have cooldowns, obviously. Elite Chaotic Release has 35 seconds. Infused Light has 30 seconds. The one that is more of a sort of if choice is Infused Light. You might need that later in a fight. It's your oh shit heal skill. When you're really down, you have no other options, and you click that, so when you're taking damage, it actually heals you. Still, I'm just giving it as a example how you can benefit the squad very much. The Facet of Chaos is you're not sacrificing anything, because you're generally not going to be using that facet at all in combat to begin with. So whenever it's up, you can just double tap it to get the active effect out of it, which is super speed and fury. The damage is absolutely worthless, and then you're switching into dragon, where you get your energy back. Now when you get really good with all of that, you can change your trait on invocation, the last trait, and instead of rolling mists, which doubles the effect of your fury, and means that you need less precision to get to 100% damage. You can take that off and put it on charge mists. Add to your build additional precision, so you get back up to 100% when you have fury, and then you get extra 25 energy every time you switch your legendary from one legendary to the other, when you're under 10 energy. You get extra 25, and that means 50% more skills that you can use off the start. That will increase your damage a lot. The ability to generate damage. So, for example, you're switching from dragon into dwarf. Now you have 75 damage. Well, with 75 damage, you can pop right away. You can pop your roads, and you can pop your elite great dwarf, which is 50% damage reduction for your whole sub squad for 5 seconds. You can pop them right away, and you don't need to worry. You don't have to choose between them. And as soon as you get energy back, then you can be using vengeful hammers. You can be using all range of other skills because you'll be getting energy back. So these are again things of synergy that matter. Oh shit! Didn't move. Yeah, my bad. I'll be right back. I was outside and I was looking at these things so I can see the names.
I'll be on in a minute. I just got home.
Yeah, no worries. I just disconnected myself.
Oh no, I have more problems.
I start demonstrating and I'm like, okay, now let me show you this, and then now it's a login screen.
Let me show you this site.
All right. All right, so I wanna go over a couple of instances in which we're doing specific things together. Now, the types of damage delivery that we'll have are 3. This is a sort of, well, 4. Let me include everything. The cleave or haste damage, which is your usually auto skill 1, skill 2 on your weapons, which are very quick recharge. That's what you're doing most of the time. You should have your auto skill going non-stop. Like, if you're a DPS player, your number 1 DPS skill should be non-stop in fights, no matter what's happening. It usually recharges faster than you can click the button anywhere, so you should have it on auto. Now, in terms of other than cleave and haste damage, which that's what that is, we have 2 different range spikes and the big bomb. Now, these are based on range. So your general range spike would be 1200 range, which is that far.
Hey, Stretch.
Yep.
We got a group of red on Outer Watergate, setting up rams now.
Okay. All right. Let's go take care of that, and I'll drop food here. Sign in, and we'll finish up after that. Dropping food.
Look like about 20.
20 bags.
Food is down. All right. Jesus, I need to do some quads real quick.
Until we meet again.
Wait, did you DC? Or are you switching?
I feel strong.
I'm killing them all with the oil. I've killed 5. I've killed 10.
Advance. Empowers. Give me stout right now. Stout.
They're running.
Stout. Spike right here. It's not even moving. Alright.
This oil's kind of fun.
Rep this. Tusaka, what happened? Did you DC? Did he completely DC?
Yeah, he doesn't seem to be in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Alright, where were we? Oh right, okay. So the 3 main times of damage delivery are gonna be the long range spike, which is at 1200, which is essentially where guardians and revs are concerned. Pretty much, if you do not have 1200 range skills, then that's not for you. You're not moving in closer to actually deliver damage. Chronos can be pulling at 900 range for that, because they're going to pull people at 900, and as they're trying to retreat back, they're going to run into damage that's at 1200. The second range spike is at 900, which is where the marker is, pretty much. That is the shade spike. That's when scourges get involved. That's your shades, and that is a much stronger bomb spike because you can put a lot more damage on it. And the last one is the big bomb. There's different names, everything go, all damage, heavy damage, big bomb, whatever. That is what that is. Those are your big cooldowns. On range spikes, you're not using big cooldowns, even if you can deliver it. So if I'm asking for a spike, I'm asking for smaller damage. I'm asking for you to deliver damage that has cooldown to about 10, maybe to 15 seconds, nothing more. Above that, you're saving. Then at the big bomb is when we're delivering. Now, when we're delivering damage, we're delivering it in a combo manner again. So what we want is to deliver first the strips, then deliver the CC, and cover it all with damage. Now, saying it like that, it's not like, okay, so we do strips. Oh yeah, okay, I see. We stripped 5 guys here. Okay, so now we do some CC. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, 1 CC there, and now damage. No, it all happens very quickly. So it's happening fraction of a second after each other. You're pressing your skills in a situation that your strip skills, then your then your CC, then your damage go in that order, but they're still going to be delivered within half a second of each other. That's what we ultimately want. If they appear in the opposite order, however, your damage will be largely nullified by the enemy's boons. Your CC will be blocked by their Aegis, stab, whatnot, and then your strips after that will strip them, but there's nothing to come after it. So that's why we want to do it in the opposite direction, and that's how you maximize damage as well. Now, when we apply damage reductions from food, from protection, from revenants, from hours, whatnot, all of it adds up, and at the end, it gets to 50, 60, 70, 80% cumulative. That means that if somebody has 20,000 HP like I do right now, for me to go down with 80% damage reduction, somebody needs to apply over 100,000 damage on me. Now, if everything gets stripped, then they only need to apply 25,000, which is a huge difference. So that's how those synergies actually increase our damage much more than the amount of damage we can produce purely through any stats or any skills. Any questions? All right, I'm gonna stop it here for today. We're gonna start formulating some more for future trainings. We'll start working on specific rotations and combinations between different groups, specific, squad cohesion and all of that. And we'll start working more on those things. We're also going to start figuring out what day we want to do a guild only and palm only run moving forward. I want to get one of those in a week, starting with one, and we'll increase it as we go to 2, maybe 3. We'll see. But we'll start with one, and that's going to happen over the next few days. There's going to be a thing posted on the Discord, so please watch for that. It is important to put your input in for what day you prefer. We want to do it a day where we can get more people in and start seeing where as a guild we are at and what are the most pressing things we need to start working more on. So let's go. Oh, they're over here.